So like medieval English pilgrims, I too have come to Sainte-Chapelle, right in the center of Paris on the El Glacier, tucked around the back of the Palais de Justice. Pilgrims have always stopped at churches and monasteries on their journeys to rest and to receive indulgences, forgiveness for their sins. And the holy places they were most interested in visiting were those which housed holy relics, artifacts with some connection to Christ or the saints, or even their bodily remains. And here in Sainte-Chapelle, which is one of the most exquisite buildings of medieval Europe, was one of the most revered relics in the Christian world. We are in the heart of what was once the medieval palace of the kings of France. It used to have a great courtyard. In the middle of the 13th century, the then King of France, Louis IX, later Saint Louis, bought from the Venetians the crown of thorns that had once surrounded the head of Christ, the most precious relic, and to house it, he built in his courtyard, his private chapel, the Sainte-Chapelle. One of the windows in the corner behind me, there is the story of his bringing, he himself, carrying the crown of thorns into this chapel. It's not a building for a great press of pilgrims. It was for the king's private benefit. But the press of pilgrims knew that it was here. They knew that this wonderful building existed. Within it there was this wonderful reliquary, and within that there was the crown of thorns. And that brought them great comfort. They were, as it were, within spitting distance of the most precious relic in Europe. The elegant simplicity of the Sainte-Chapelle disguises the cleverness of its design. Hidden iron chains allowed its builders to create these great expanses of glass, which even on a dull day like this flood the interior with colored light. The old palace is long since destroyed. The kings moved off to live in the Louvre by the river, but the Sainte-Chapelle remained. Here it is, all these centuries later, a miracle of medieval stained glass. An enormous amount of money was spent on this little building, and it went up in no time at all. The great masters of glass painting of the period were all brought in to work on this. It is like being inside a great cabinet of jewels with light shining through. No church in the whole of Europe has glass to match it. Come into this building, and it is as if you are walking about in paintings by Kandinsky. But of course, it is not a Kandinsky. Sainte-Chapelle is more than art. It is a place of worship. It was here that the monarchs of France's Ancien regime humbled themselves before their God. It was here that Eleanor Aquitaine herself, a pilgrim to Santiago, married Henry II, King of England. This visit to Sainte-Chapelle is more moving than I'd expected it to be. A simple statue of St. James reminds me of the journey ahead. The pilgrimage may not be, after all, quite the carefree romp I had been promised. The great relic of the crown of thorns has long since been transferred to the Notre-Dame, and the Sainte-Chapelle is now open to the great unwashed. Of course, while the great churches of Paris still attract pilgrims, they now also bustle with tourists, clutching guidebooks instead of prayer books. But for tourists on their pilgrimages of pleasure, the beautiful Sainte-Chapelle is surprisingly not the most popular church to visit.